Good afternoon. I'm John Taylor. I'm president of Sunshine Football Officials Association. I have with me today Norm Miller, who's one of our board members. And over the last 12 months, I've spent some time talking with Ron about trying to get this meeting together. We used to do this in the past. We thought it was very productive. Gives you guys as a whole, as a group, to see who we are. And we're able to answer your questions directly. Just to give you a little background on myself. I started officiating football right here with Sunshine Football Officials Association in 1983. 35 years been doing this. I've seen everything that there is to imagine from youth level to high school. For over 20 years I have been a senior referee, crew referee. Worked a lot of high school games, a lot of playoff games. As I stand up here and talk about some things and talk about rules with you guys, I'll tell you one thing. I'm telling you the truth. I understand rules. I don't want to say inside out because I learn stuff all the time too. There's little stuff in the rule book that comes up that you don't see every day. But there's a lot of things that go into what we do. You know, and Ron talks about rule books. These are the 3 books that we have. These are our new books. We have a rule book for football from National Federation, which is what you play under. We have a case book, has case plays, and also an officials manual, which is our guide on our mechanics. We get these and study these. We're tested on this every year. So we have to study it. Not everybody knows it, and not everybody's going to tell you the same thing on the field that I probably tell you. I have 120 plus members, so I have 120 variations of ability. You got the new guys that you see a lot of, especially early in the day, like football, and then you've got the older guys, some senior guys, some not. But we're out there to help you guys. Okay, we're not out there to just throw flags. You may not see sometimes that maybe that's people you think that's all they're doing, throwing flags. We try to train them not to. We offer training classes. We start training classes with our officials in first Monday in April, and we go through our season every Monday night, with the exception of being holidays. This is what I spend time on, teaching our guys, or who comes to these classes, what this is about, how to do this. I'll stand up here today and I'll go ahead and I'll invite anybody out here who wants to be an official, anybody who wants to just come see what we do. Okay, come to one of our training meetings. Monday night, 6:30, Clearwater High School. Anybody's welcome. Come in, see what we do. This is not easy what we do. It's not easy. Okay? Think about sometimes when we get this at all levels that some coaches berating a guy on the sideline. One thing I have to say about that, you put a first or second year guy out there, and believe me, I coach too. I've been where you guys are. Okay? And I actually coached my son, and I'd been an official for 25 years. So in coaching him, I had rookie officials. I wasn't very nice to them either sometimes. And I'm kind of embarrassed by saying that that's what I did. But I'm out there, I know what's going on. So I'll open up the questions later on. But right now, I want to go through, rule changes for this current year. See if I can get this to open up so I can. Current year rule changes, we don't have a lot. We're going to touch on them, and I'm going to touch on some stuff that we had that happened last year with rule changes. Okay. One rule change for this year is required equipment. Most of our officials should be talking to you head coaches before the game. They should be asking you to verify your equipment. They may not. They're supposed to. We ask them to. But currently, the new rule will be that there will not be a distance penalty for illegal equipment. Player will have to leave for one play, as if he was injured. Okay, you can't call timeout to get him back in. Okay. Now, head coaches, if you verified that this equipment was legal and somebody comes out there without legal equipment, you're still subject to an unsportsmanlike penalty if so choose. In my years of that rule, I've never called it. This rule, in my opinion, goes back to more of the practice we do, because that would be my practice. If somebody has illegal equipment, I'm just going to send him off the field. Coach, fix this equipment. Okay. Every year, the National Federation is making rule changes or modifications for safety purposes. Okay. Defenseless player is every year. Defenseless player, we've had, since they put it in, there's been a change on it somehow every year. Okay. This year they added defenseless player as being a quarterback, passing the ball. He's considered defenseless, so if he takes a hit, it falls under defenseless player, but it's also roughing the passer if he's a passer. Okay. Reads that once the ball is thrown, he is a passer and is defined as a defenseless player. The signal change, that's not. We have some penalty enforcements on kicking plays. Now that if you have a penalty on the kicking team during the kick, in past that would go back to the line of scrimmage and enforce the penalty, or they decline the penalty and keep the ball where they received it or the play ended. Now we can tack that on. You don't have to have a re-kick or a replay. The receiving team can take the penalty from the succeeding spot. That's about all of it for this year, for 2018. Points of emphasis they always put in, proper use of equipment, and pace of play and timing. I know we have a lot of things. We have a 25-second clock. That's what's in the rule book. A lot of you guys are, I'll tell you, and doing this as long as I have, when I'm out there with JV flyweights, they're going to get more time than what a midget team's going to get at the end of the night. Okay? Am I wrong by doing that? Some of you might think so. I feel like it's better for some of these younger kids to help these kids, help train these kids. I know I'm not the coach, but it's easier when I'm standing out there, speed them up, hurry it up. I've done this with JV flyweights when coaches are on the field. I will talk to coaches. Coach, you need to hurry them up. Coach, number 79 there needs to back up off the line or whatever. Okay? We want to be helpful in some cases. Okay? Pace of play, enforcement of penalties for personal fouls and unsportsmanlike conduct, defensive player and blindside blocks. Ron, do y'all have any jerseys? Y'all follow the jersey rules, or everybody's home is dark, white? No. Okay. All right, let's talk about blindside block a little bit. Blindside block was put in last year to stop some of the hits that could be potentially causing concussions, depending on it. Kicking games, punts, kickoffs, that's where a lot of the old peel back blocks we had, even though we could penalize for some of that, came in a few years back. But blindside block is a player gets hit when he can't see it coming. If you go on YouTube, you can look at a lot of videos. There's a lot of stuff out there that'll show blindside blocks and defenseless player acts. See what it really is. Blindside block, the judgment's on the official to understand that that person that got hit was able to see the guy fixing to hit him. If you don't want that to be judged, you don't want to put that on Norm or I to decide, say, really, was his eyes going that way? Were they turned? Do we throw a flag? Okay. Way to get around that, open hand technique. Okay, two hands extended in front, make the hit. As long as it's from the side or the front, above the waist, it's clean. There's nothing for us to judge, nothing. And the player's not going to get hurt. And believe me, at full speed, they can knock somebody down. Okay, they'll knock somebody down. That's blindside block. Pop-up kicks. Pop-up kicks were put in last year. Pop-up kick's a kick that where the kicker drives the ball immediately into the ground, pops up high, looks like it might have gotten kicked up in the air. Purpose of that is to not have this vulnerable receiver possibly signal fair catch that he can after the ball hits the ground. So they're trying to stop that. That's what they did. Onside kicks are still legal. You can still kick the ball into the ground. You can kick the ball where, some of these kickers that kick it and rolls a couple times and then does a pop-up, that's not a pop-up kick. Pop-up kick's going to be when it's drove straight into the ground and goes up into the air. Okay? Face guarding. Last year they took out face guarding. Pass interference, you cannot have pass interference with face guarding. It must be contact. So normally you want to just, in demonstration, if the play's here, got the hands up in the air in front of him, as long as he's not touched or interfered with, like this. Okay? Well, yeah, anything in front, if there's no contact, that's a legal play now. Okay? It's a legal play. Must be contact for pass interference. Okay. Any questions about anything? I want you to ask me if any questions that you have so we can answer them now. Yes?
Your Tom Brady rule about outside the pocket?
No such thing in high school football.
Okay, so when he gets outside the pocket, is the quarterback legal to hit, or is it two-step rule? What's going on with that?
He's a runner.
He's just a runner.
Let's understand something. We talk about traditional quarterbacks. If a player, I don't care who it is, it can be a tackle, goes back there and you pitching the ball backwards, he stands back there and throws a pass, guess what? He's a passer. And if he's hit late, roughing the passer. Same thing with a quarterback. Quarterback's rolling, he runs. He's a runner. He's a runner until he passes the football. That's high school rule. Okay? Anything else? Yes, sir.
So hold on, so which rule are you talking about right? Well, I guess so saying in the outer pocket,
did you ask me this question last week? No?
I want to say what's up. There's no pocket. Hey, so what's the rule out of pocket?
There's no pocket in high school football.
But we're talking about Little League now. That's what I'm asking.
You play National Federation rules.
All right, so once he's out of pocket.
All rules are NFHS. Okay? This rule book. Not FHSA, we're not talking FHSA, but this book right here, National Federation of High Schools.
In reference to your question, there's no pocket. He's either a passer or a runner. If he's in the act of passing and gets hit late, it's roughing the passer. If he runs, he tucks and runs, he gets hit, he's a runner. If he stops and throws the ball, he then goes back to passing protection. But there's no pocket, there's no outside tackle, there's no tackle eligible. These are all rules that are antiquated, okay? And we're playing high school rules, so.
Yeah, I think this is something that really gets confusing. We're out here doing our National Federation rules. And then on Saturday, late Saturday, whenever you guys go home, and Sunday, you're watching two different sets of rules, meaning NCAA and NFL. Guys, those rules are crazy. Okay? If you would see NCAA rule book sometime and read what it is, some of the stuff is just absolutely crazy. Okay? NFL, these owners get together and they change rules based on something that happened to them the year before. It's nuts. It's crazy. Okay.
Question.
Question? Yes, sir.
So if you fair to the defense, if the quarterback is being captain and you're attempting bad football, there's going to be considered in the ground.
While these
He's running the ball and he's being tackled and he's attempting to throw the football. He's being tackled at the same time. He's being tackled before he attempts to throw. So that's going to be considered in the ground.
No. Now,
So is there gonna be a penalty?
there's no, shouldn't be a penalty, okay? The judgment's gonna be is whether his progress was stopped and he was wrapped up. Some people might say that there's no in the grass. There's nothing in our rule book that talks about in the grass, okay? If his progress is stopped or he's being driven back, that's considered progress stopped. The play's dead. Now the judgment's going to come in by that referee. You know, was he still moving? Did he have a chance to throw the ball? What position was he in when he was making that attempt to throw? There shouldn't be a penalty on what you're describing, okay? But he's also not automatically tackled and down either, okay? Yes, sir.
Can you clarify the cut block rule?
Cut block rule. Norm, you're the umpire. You want to talk about the cut block rule?
So in order to cut, and you can't cut, it has to be the snap of the ball. So for example, as long as the ball's in the zone, and what we have a zone is, it's a 4x4 on either side, okay? That's the zone. So anytime you're within that blocking zone, you can cut the snap of the ball. Now, if you're in a shotgun, think about this. If you're in a shotgun and you go to snap, you're gonna have a bad call. You follow me? So the snap of the ball, so you have to be in the zone. So if I go to snap, okay? If I'm here and I go right toward the step, that's a good cut, okay? As soon as I come out of my stance and then I go toward that guy, it's off. You're gonna get a flag, okay?
Including the back?
Pardon me?
Including the back?
Now, you cannot cut away from the line of scrimmage, all right? Only within the zone, in the free blocking zone. So, if this is the line of scrimmage here, all right, and you have a running back who cuts a backer coming in, it's going to be a flag, okay? Anything outside that zone is going to be a flag. If you have a situation where a lineman stands up, delays, and then it goes and cuts, that's a flag. It has to be to snap the ball, that has to be instantaneous. Now, most umpires will give you some judgment, some leeway, as long as the effort is made within the snap of the play. If there's deception there, I'm gonna fake it, I stand up out of my stance, then I go cut, you get that flag every single time. As long as I'm making the attempt to be within the snap, the frame of the snap, that's gonna be legal, okay? Anything outside of that, downfield, and you go below the waist, it's gonna be below the bottom. Okay.
I think what you might be referring to also when you asked about in the back, in the initial contact, you can't do it in the back. You cannot clip in anywhere anymore. So in the back, below the waist, that's a flag anywhere. Okay. Any other questions?
The one thing I also would caveat that, we get a lot of questions about the high-low block. Okay? Just 1 second. The high-low block. What is the definition? So, if a blocker engages with someone below the waist, and the next blocker engages above the waist, that is a good block. If he engages above the waist first, then engages below the waist, that's a bad block. Okay? It's judgment. He's got a question.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is on the block, say you got your guard, and he's gonna block down on the man over the center. As long as it's at the snap, he can shoot it at that.
As long as he can get
Yes.
to him. Now, here's some things that you have to understand some guys trying to do. The box is designed for high school players, okay? If you tighten down on your stances and you try to take a tight end to come down on a tackle, it's not going to be a legal block because that's not the intent of the rule, all right? If you are with the guard to guard is where it really applies. If there's somebody over that tight end he wants to cut him, that's good. The further away you get from where you are, the more difficult you're going to have. And it's the judgment of the umpire. You know, the thing about judgment is we get evaluated on a regular basis. In the NFL, they're evaluated on every single play in every single game because what we're trying to do is refine the judgment, all right? You've got younger guys whose judgment may not agree with you. But what I suggest to you is instead of getting upset on the field, cut that clip and give it to us. so that we can help evaluate and help make that better. Or if it's correct, we're going to give you feedback on why it's correct. But the point is that when you have judgment, that's a big span, and everybody's different. John's judgment and my judgment might be different, but what we try to do with officiating is try to refine that so it's more similar. Now that takes a lot of evaluations, but if you've got guys who are making bad judgment, we want to know about that so we can help refine that judgment.
Yes.
Pancake box. Give me out. Seaside or everybody. Pancake box. Players in the interior of the shoulder. Drive that, send it down to the ground. That's a clean box, right?
As long as you don't hold him down there. You cannot hold
Can't
the player
hold him down. That's holding.
Well, but here's the other thing though too. How did he take him to the ground? There's a difference, okay? If I have my hands extended and I take him down by brute force, or do I take him down because I'm pushing him down? It's judgment. There's a difference, okay? If there's a tug and I take him down, that's gonna be holding. There's holding allowed in football, okay? The key is there an unfair advantage in your holding? It happens. You cannot uncoach that. We always coach open hands, but you know that what's going to happen inevitably. What I'm looking for as an umpire is there an unfair advantage to that block? Did he get a little tug where that running back gets by? Did he get some kind of, we pushed him forward, turned his hip, and I turn, that's an unfair advantage. As long as you are moving your feet with the block, that's not holding, it's blocking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last year we had a lot of problems that the rest of the officials were not familiar with flag. Is there anything they can put in place so they can be trained for that? Because normally they come up and they don't know what the rules are. And I think a lot of
I understand. If we just wait on flag, I'm going to get to another part of flag football here in a little bit, okay? And we'll talk about that. Anything else? Yes.
Hey guys, let's so everyone can hear.
Yeah, what you're going to have this year, if there is a penalty during the kick on the kicking team, the receiving team will have an option of having that penalty enforced at the succeeding spot instead of going back. What they're trying to do is eliminate that re-kick, okay? The option would be is that wherever the play ended, you can enforce it at that spot. Let's just say it's a holding. Let's say you got a kicking team holding during the kick. One of the kicking team guys comes down, he grabs somebody, throws him down. You got a 10-yard holding penalty. Got a receiver, catches the ball, he runs back 10 yards. Wherever that ends, you can add 10 yards to that for the penalty. Okay? You also have the enforcement that, same enforcement we've had, you go back from the previous spot where the ball was kicked 10 yards and re-kick. This whole thing is getting to the thing, the NCAA is doing it. They're trying to cut back on kickoffs, trying to cut back on re-punts and re-kicks, because this is where the more catastrophic injuries are happening. Okay? We got leagues starting up, they aren't even going to have kickoffs. Got high school teams in their spring games, they don't do any special teams. They don't want to have those injuries. Whether it goes away in high school football or federation rules, I can't answer that question. But I know it's discussed every year. Okay, another one back here, somebody? Yes. No, they can't. Not excessive celebration. I can't answer that, except it's in the National Federation rule book that you're not allowed excessive celebration. Okay? Go ahead.
As an official, I'll tell you how I address it, okay? I will allow the initial celebration, but once you start going organized, because here's what happens. When you start to embarrass the other team, now they want to retaliate. when people start, doing demonstrative celebrations, and especially if you're winning big, then the other team gets down, and now they want to fight. So, for me, if you nip it in the bud right away, it helps alleviate those issues of people getting upset about it. And I get it. The kids want to celebrate, and I will allow them to do it to a certain degree, but once it goes beyond celebration, it's got to be shut down.
Any other questions? No? Just want to touch, I don't know, are you guys supplying rule books or anything? Have y'all purchased anything or no? What's that?
I think you should do that.
They do it, they want to. Well, I just want to bring up a couple of things about where the National Federation is with rule books. They have an app for iPhone, Android, you can download. You can buy a 1-year subscription for each of the books, $6.99. You can go on iTunes, also has a book version, electronic ebook version. Amazon for Kindle has an ebook version. They're $6.99. Print copies are going away. We purchased some this year. They've charged me $10 for these. That's how we get our rule books. You guys understand the rules. If you have questions about the rules, you can always email Ron. Ron will email me. We'll get explanations for you. We want to be helpful to you. Like Norm said, if you have questionable plays, clips, we're on Huddle, Sunshine Football. You could shoot those clips over, and we'll take a look at them. I had a few last year, I think, and about 4 questions about those. I see it different, okay? Understand one thing as an official. We're out there seeing players at full speed, and we have a split second to see what happens and throw a flag. It's very easy for us to go later and look at a film and look at a play clip, freeze it, fast forward, slow motion, all that stuff. We can critique it. I can critique. You send me game films, I can pick officials apart. We don't see it that way, okay? We're seeing it very quickly, okay? So you might see something a little different than what Norm sees or what I see. What's that?
4 men and 5 men. What they're
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point Norm bringing up about we teach with our officials point of attack officiating. As far as line play, encroachments, false starts, little flinches. If you got a tight ball game, we might be a little tighter on it. If you got a game that's 2 or 3 touchdowns a team, we're probably not going to call this stuff. We literally could call something on every single play if we choose. Then we'll be there all night. We're working 4-man and 5-man mechanics for you guys, okay? We do point of attack officiating, which means in a lot of your stuff like holdings and blocks in the backs and stuff, anything that's not a safety issue, away from the play, away from where the ball's going, we're not throwing flags, okay? We're not going to throw a flag on holding over here when the ball goes there, okay? We're not going to do it. You can go yell at us all you want, but we're teaching our guys that's not where the play is, okay? Nobody's gaining an advantage by that hold over there. Back a few years ago, they even put pass interference. They took pass interference. Where it used to be, if the ball's in the air going that way, got a guy interfering over there, that's a flag, pass interference. Not anymore. It's got to be at the pass. It's a good rule. But people are going to see things. The mechanics, the keys of the officials are different. The back judge adds another thing in the Pee Wee midget games that y'all have to help out deep, help out with the passing, looking at different things. They're looking at the receivers more. It's a little more difficult with 4-man. You get into JV Pee Wee, JV midget. We're still doing 4, right? Yeah, 4-man. It's because they're throwing the ball just as much. So it's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy It's not easy sometimes at a high school game with 5 officials on a regular basis to cover 22 people. With these spread offenses and the speeds that we see, really difficult.
Just
We're
that.
going to flag football. Or going to flag football. Okay. All right, I'll touch about flag football a little bit. We're going to get to your question here now. I guess this is our 3rd or 4th year or something we've been doing flag football. And I understand that you get one group of officials comes out and they don't know the rules, they haven't been given any rules. They tell you that they're telling you a lie. I ask every year. Last year, I don't know about any rules. I don't know about any new rules for this year, any changes for flag football. I still have rules from last year. We post these on our website. We post these in our Arbiter, which is our scheduling and email system. I send out emails to every single member. Here's where the rules are. Go get them, study them. We talk about them in our meetings, okay? These guys have access to the rules, okay? If they're telling you they don't, they're wrong. Now, the biggest complaint I get is the same complaints you have, where they go from one week to the next, and the coaches are telling them different rules than what they were given from me. Okay? These are issues that I'll bring to Ron, and we'll try to stop that. But I've got one general set of rules. We're going to give that to my officials. They're going to make it available to them. So hopefully we're trying to get better at being on the same page with that. With it not being a general set of rules, I don't know what some of these other leagues do. I don't work much flag football, to be honest with you. I work girls flag football at the high schools, but I don't work much youth flag football. So we're trying to get better with that. Okay. Yes.
The rules of flag, the safety, can you explain the safety rules in flag, because it's not in the book?
Well, I would think the safety rules for flag would be safety rules that we have for anything else. I'm not sure I understand the question.
I had an issue with rough with that, because they didn't give us the safety. Because
What'd they tell you?
they don't get the point.
They don't get the point. Oh, it's safety. Oh, it's okay.
Safety point on the clock,
Yeah, there's no safety in flag football.
so they don't get the point in all the
No. That's your rules. We didn't do this rules.
No, because some of them do it, some don't. That's what
Well,
I'm asking, because it's
all right.
not in the book, but it's supposed to be as safe as possible, whatever, as a safety. Some places we we got the safety point and the ball went back to that seat.
Okay. We'll address that. I'll find out in the rules. The rules don't say that you can score safety. Okay. So we'll clarify that and clarify it with our people. Okay. One thing I want to talk about with flag football, and I do the same thing with my guys, as it relates to girls flag football. And this actually goes through even tackle football, but flag football is supposed to be non-contact. You know, they're not wearing pads. They are wearing mouthpieces, which is a good thing. But athletes, and Doc there could probably help me with this as well, but athletes flying around at full speed are going to run into each other. There's going to be incidental contact. We can't have a flag all the time because two people, bump into each other, both going for a football. We talk about concussions. Had 2 girls go up for a flag football in high school. One got kind of out of balance, coming down, came down right on her head, knocked her out, boom, done. Bad situation, but there was no penalty. Nobody did anything. It's just a situation that happens. I know that soccer, and Doc will tell you this, Scotty Anderson from Morton Plant Meets Sports Medicine tells me that most concussions in sports are soccer. Same thing. They're flying around there full speed and they're running into each other and get knocked down. That ground's hard when they hit it. Heads are hard when they hit each other. So you do have stuff where people collide. You can't avoid it.